All right, folks, it's Fantasy Football Now right here on Fantasy Sports, powered by DSP Media. I'm Jeff Thidoff. Follow on the X at That Happens. He is Chad Rink. Follow on the X at Chad Ochorinco. Go to fantasysports.com. That's the website. Also, the Fantasy Sports app's available for Apple and Android now for round-the-clock programming on the go. And the Fantasy Sports Facebook group, you can go on there, interact with some of the hosts, and or tell us you hate us. I don't care, whatever. Just hop on there, though, and check it out, though. Rink, so we're recording this just so everyone knows it is Saturday afternoon early. So if any news comes out after that, we'll try to do a quick YouTube short to put it out there. But what we're talking about now, all the information is based on what we have as of about noon Eastern time on the day before the first full slate of NFL games. Rink, are you pumped?
I am pumped. I got in to do YouTube, so I've got Sunday Ticket this year.
Okay.
Is good, which it helps that last night I had $10 on like $1 on 10 home run parlays, three guy home run parlays, and so 2 guys hit, and I still had the 2 late games. So my wife is there because my oldest is over, and I'm like, hey, here's the deal. I got 2 of them with JD Davis. I can cash them both out. We can get $72. I said,
right.
I said, here's what I'm going to do. Since JD Davis, I'm going to cash one out. That way I at least get money back. And then if he hits one, we'll get $363. He did hit. So I told her this morning, I was like, hey, good news, bad news? And she's like, she has no clue what's going on. Like, JD Davis hit, so we got $363. I said, bad news. And she's always like, worst case scenario is like, had we not cashed the other one out, it would have been another $363. She's like,
that's good, though. Good for you.
It is, yeah. So it's, that helps pay. That paid for my half of the YouTube. So,
there you go. We had the Chiefs-Lions game on Thursday night, and we knew Kelsey wasn't going to play then. And we knew that Chris Jones wasn't playing for the Chiefs. I don't think the Chris Jones thing hurt things at all. I think the problem with the Chiefs was too many damn drop passes, right?
Yeah, I mean, the ball must have been hot the way the Chiefs were dropping it. Yeah. So it was so weird because, like, that game, like, the Lions won. It's a good win for the Lions. Like, you go on the road to the Chiefs to win. It's a good win. No asterisk from me.
Right.
But they weren't impressive. Like, they got a defensive touchdown on a horrible drop by Tony that went to what's his name? That rookie.
Yeah.
And the other thing some guy broke it down pretty good. Goff had a nice, it was like a 3rd and 8, and he hit, I think it was Josh Reynolds on a dig for the first down. But if you break that play down, and I'm mad because I own Sun God broke free and was good, wide open for probably a 50, 60-yard touchdown pass. And Goff he read the dig and just stayed there. So, Lions, I think that's how the Lions are going to be this year. Don't think the Lions are going to steamroll people, but they're good enough to just stay in games, and if they can make plays. But I was impressed with the Chiefs defense too. Like, I thought, they didn't get a ton of pass rush, but the Lions really didn't just move the ball.
They scored 14 points, right?
Yeah.
Because 7 was on the defensive. They scored 14.
Right, yeah. So,
So Montgomery scored.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown scored. From the Lions' perspective, I know Montgomery didn't have a great yards per carry, but the game pretty much unfolded like I thought it would. Sam Laporta probably a little better than I thought, but still not like great. But having a rookie do that, though, is really good, a rookie tight end. But there wasn't much that surprised me about the usage or about the productivity of the Lions, I think. On the Chiefs side, I was, how much they used Clyde Edwards-Helaire was kind of surprising to me, because we thought he was going to be an afterthought. They were damn near going to cut him, it seemed like, before the 53-man roster came out. Ended up playing a pretty big role in the game for them. But it was all just you could just tell on Mahomes' face the frustration with the drop passes. You could tell he missed the security of Travis Kelce. But Tony, though, and then Tony goes out and deletes all his social media accounts after the game.
Right.
Awful game for Tony. Oh, my God, an awful game for Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, and Sky Moore too. I think Sky Moore had 3 or 4 drops, and that was going to be if Sky Moore was going to be something, it would have been yesterday. And it just goes to show you how, just even veterans like Juju Smith-Schuster, if he was still there, I think it would be a different game, even without Kelce. So you throw Sky Moore second year, Tony, who's really hasn't had a ton of usage, and the weird part, the rookie Rashid Rice looked the best. So,
I thought so too.
That surprised me. I thought he might have got. I thought he was going to get, not play. I thought they'd just say, hey, we're going to go with so many receivers. He was the one I thought that might not play, just sit. So, if you're a Chiefs fan, I'm not nervous. I think they'll figure it out because, again, as bad as they played, they still should have won that game.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, if you're a David Montgomery owner, I would sell. And if you're a Jahmyr Gibbs owner, like, don't panic. Like, they said going into this, like, they're going to ease him in. Gibbs looked good. Like, he made some moves. Like, they're going to use him. So if you can try to get Gibbs in a league, I would do that. But that's what David Montgomery is. I'm a Bears fan. He is 20 carries, 3.5 yards. He's not going to fumble. He's going to keep moving the chains forward. But that's what he is. So it's exactly what it is. Laporta, though, that's encouraging. I think the usage of him, and I think the Lions. If I looked at their schedule, it's not a horrible schedule. If they can 3-3-4-2, Jameson Williams is going to help that team.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I'm ready to sell Montgomery yet, only because I don't know. I would sell him if you get somebody of comparable value, I guess I should say it. But I still think Montgomery's going to be the guy they trust down by the goal line. And so I'm not saying you're going to start him every week, but I think if you're looking for like a bye-week fill-in kind of guy or injury backup kind of, I think you can do a lot worse than David Montgomery just because of, I think the Lions will score more points. Obviously, they scored 14. We talked, Chiefs do have a good defense even without Jones out there. I think that Montgomery will still get enough goal line opportunities, enough chances inside the 10, 5-yard line to where he warrants keeping. Now, if you can sell high on him and get somebody, if you can sell him for somebody and buy low on this other, whatever, that makes sense. And I got that. But I'm not rushing to necessarily get rid of Montgomery yet because I still think that he's a viable option on most teams. Maybe not as a starter every week, but certainly someone to have there as a backup.
Yeah, he's pretty much like a flex option every week. So if you're set at running back and you can flip him for a receiver or something else, then yeah. But if you're kind of tight of running back, you may need him because, like you said, just the touchdown equity he could have this year is kind of huge.
So one of the things now, and we talked. I know we talked the other day about this, but the drafts are in our rearview mirrors now. We've done our hundreds, whatever we've done, and we obviously have our teams we root for. You're a Bears fan. I'm a Steelers fan. We also have our fantasy players we root for that we've drafted in these various leagues that we are like money invested in, not just ones we drafted as proxies for other people. But so I want to go back and forth a little bit here and talk about some strategies that we employed or some players we are watching very closely in week one because we drafted these people, had a strategy around these people in the all the drafts we did. So I'll go first. And one of the guys that's very important to me and my reputation as a drafter, I guess I would say, is Justin Herbert because I passed on quarterbacks and I waited really. I'll put Herbert and Trevor Lawrence together. I passed on these top quarterbacks and waited as often as I could and ended up with Herbert and or Lawrence, and both of them in some cases, but at least one of them though. And so the performances of Herbert and Lawrence are important to all the drafts I did and important to how grade myself after the season is how well Herbert and Lawrence did. If they both end up getting in the top 6, I'll consider it successful for me. Top 3 for one of them would be great, but I think if they're both in the top 6, then I feel justified the way I drafted. How about you?
Yeah, I think Bijan's a big one for me because in the Cincinnati League, I ended up getting him, took him over Barkley. So that's one of those where, okay, let's see how he does. And I really waited on running backs in that league. So I think Bijan's a big one for me just because I have him in a couple leagues. I have him in a dynasty league, which is totally different. But in that redraft league, taking him over Barkley, and then I waited on running backs because I ended up taking Kamara and what was the other guy I took? And I got Khalil Herbert. So that and the one down in Cincinnati, my running backs are a little bit weak because I just hammered the receivers heavy. So Bijan's going to have to carry the load for that. So he's one that I, and being a rookie, that I hope he gets the touches this year.
Yep, that'll be one I watch too. Another one for me is young. I waited on drafting some running backs. I went receiver heavy early on, and because of that, I put this in the category of young running backs. And they're not rookies, but like Rashad White in Tampa Bay, James Cook in Buffalo are a couple of guys that I seem to target quite a bit. If I went heavy in running receivers to start the draft, which I did a lot of the times in the auctions, whatnot, those are the kind of guys I ended up with on my team. And I didn't get a lot of Breece Hall. I got a little bit of Javonte Williams, but really, Rachaad White and James Cook are going to play a big role in determining if I was successful in that strategy or not as well. Cook's been looking like a 3-down back in Buffalo. White, as you've mentioned, many times about the fact he can catch passes out of the backfield. It makes him more valuable as well with all the options he may have at that school. So for those guys, waiting on running backs, hitting these guys later on, James Cook, Rachaad White are going to be critical to me and how I look at my season, my draft performance.
Yeah, I thought for me it's like a Madison in there too, because you don't know what you're going to get out of Alexander Madison. So for me, another one is a big one it's in our league, our big league, the league, is Jordan Love, because I did trade you Trevor Lawrence for a draft pick and Chris Olave, who's a free protect, and then I also traded Deshaun Watson to Ike, and I got 2 rookie picks, which then I end up flipping one of them to go get Sun God. So Jordan Love, I kind of put all my eggs in my basket in one basket in our league, that he's going to be serviceable because my quarterback room is not great in that league. So Jordan Love is one that I'm going to have to kind of rely on to be good this year in our league, or it's going to be a struggle because my only 2 other quarterbacks right now are Anthony Richardson and Geno Smith. So I'm covered with Geno, but if Jordan Love can be productive, but it's going to be weird rooting for a Packers quarterback.
That would be weird for you, yes. And Jordan Love, you have. And by the way, to your credit, and I don't like giving you credit, but to your credit, a couple years ago, I mocked you for your love for Jalen Hurts.
Yes,
I can't remember who it was I said. There was somebody I said who's going to be better than Jalen Hurts. I can't remember who it was.
No, you said you were wanting you wanted to know if I wanted Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And I said, no, I've got a better Lamar Jackson on my team in Jalen Hurts. And then you made the little flowery, inspirational quote. And he said
totally
to the league on it.
Yes. And so Jordan Love could be true. It could be a good one there for you also. Another one for me. And God, I'm so pissed off about this right now because I just saw the news he might not play this week. Darren Waller.
Yes.
Waller, he's dinged up. And God, I am so heavily invested in Waller, and my personal leagues also drafts I did. He might not play this week, and that's gonna, if he ends up being hurt for a while, it will ruin a lot of my thoughts on my drafts this year because I was so excited about Waller. He was Daniel Jones' favorite target in camp and all this stuff, and I heard all these wonderful things. They're not saying he's not going to play tomorrow night in Dallas or against Dallas. They're saying that he might not play. So we'll see on that one. But look, strategy-wise now, if you've got Waller, make sure if you're going to wait it out, make sure you get the backup. Ballinger, I think, is the backup there in New York.
David Ballinger, yeah.
Or get Conklin, I think, who is for the Jets, right?
Yeah.
On Monday night. Get one of those 2 guys as a backup. You're ready to roll on those things because in our league, like I said, my 2 tight ends, I've got Kelsey and Waller because I've got this luxury of having all these picks. And so I said, oh, no problem. Kelsey's out. I don't care. I've got Waller. And now I almost picked up Ballinger down. I'm going to pick up somebody just in case he doesn't play. But Waller is somebody else. And also Pat Freiermuth, another tight end. When I wait on tight ends, if I didn't get Waller, because I never got Kelsey, and I never went after Andrews, I never went after Kittle, sometimes after Hawkinson, but by and large, it was either Waller or Freiermuth, most of the teams I drafted. That's another one that's going to be, those 2 tight ends are going to play a big role in how I evaluate myself after the season.
Yeah. Let me a minute. I'm going to try to pick up Conklin and Ballinger in this league here.
Yeah, go ahead and do it. I hope you do. Spend your $10. I'll still win without him.
Exactly. No, I think tight end for me too, because I usually waited, and Waller was one. And it was funny. We were driving back. I was dropping my wife off to help her sister set up for her wedding, and I was with my daughter, and so we're listening to this Disney playlist I have, and it was the Moana, where she's like, "I've been staring at the edge of the water," and in my head, I'm like, because I got her, I was like, I've been drafting a lot of Darren Waller, so. I was trying to think of a song, but I can't sing. So, but Waller was a big one for me because I almost always waited, even on the drafts that were for other people, and tight end. But I do in the Cincinnati league, I did take Waller. We don't have to have a tight end, but I did take Waller. So I think that's a tight end spot in general. I got some Luke Musgrave, shares, but I think that's what it is. If you didn't go Andrews, Kittle, Kelsey, you're just kind of like, I hope I can just have a productive tight end spot. So I think that's kind of for everybody. And like I said, even with Kelsey being hurt, I don't know much about this Waller news. It kind of just came out of nowhere.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I think just tight end. And then just real quick, like, because a lot of the drafts I didn't go running back heavy, just to hope that the wide receivers, that I'm going heavy wide receiver flex spots. So I'm just hoping that strategy works.
One of the things I saw too, in defense, you shouldn't overthink defenses. You know what I mean? And I've seen many people who just never draft a defense. They just stream one every week, pick up a new one. That's a fine thing to do. In some leagues I was drafting for people, you had to have a defense. Mm-hmm. And I put a lot of stock in the Saints. And here's why. I looked at this thing, Ari Merov, God, I hope that's pronounced, at My Sports Updates, where he's at on the X.
Oh, yeah.
He put a list out of the quarterbacks the Saints are going to face this year.
Yes.
Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Young, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins. And then down the stretch now, starting in week 12, Desmond Ridder, not scared. Jared Goff, decent. Bryce Young, rookie, in 12, 13, and 14. 15 is Daniel Jones. 16 is Matthew Stafford, whoever Matthew Stafford's backup is for the Rams because he's going to get hurt. So it's a great list on that. I put a lot of I didn't go after, and I never really targeted a top defense, because it's so hit and miss on those things. Yeah. But in the ones where I had to draft, looking at a list like that and looking at the fact they're in the NFC South, I went with the Saints quite a bit, or the Steelers, the zone I really leaned towards as far as defenses go.
Yeah, I was all over the Saints, because I think even before that tweet, I've seen a lot of them tweeted out now. I looked at it. I saw a tweet earlier. I don't know if that's the same guy, about that quarterback list. That's why the all draft season, I was trying to get the Saints. I was never going to overpay for them in like auction drafts.
Right.
But you could always get, like, the Saints were almost, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Yeah. I mean, they weren't always going up top. So I really tried to target them if I could. If I didn't, like, I just didn't care. Like, I would try to pick up like Washington or just somebody. Right. And like I said, if you didn't get an elite defense, just stream it. It doesn't matter. Like, because most defenses, unless they score like two, like that one, like the Bears defense from several years ago when they made it to the Super Bowl was just ridiculous. And then that Patriots defense from like 3 years ago where they just scored like 8 touchdowns in the season. It's just all it is, because you're basically talking defenses mostly going to be anywhere from like 12 to 3 points. So, and it's just more of a fluke than anything else.
It absolutely is, no doubt about that. Do you have anything else you're looking at that's important to you as far as your reputation on the line as the drafter goes?
No, the only other thing I'm looking for is someone needs to pick up Rodrigo Blankenship at some point.
that's what I was leading
but
for.
Yeah, it's still kind of early. It's just not too much. I guess like just once we start getting into like making predictions and stuff, that's really what I'm kind of hoping for. Like if Luke Musgrave, I saw Christian Watson is out for tomorrow. So
also on my team, I've got Watson, I've got Waller, I've got Kelsey.
You got Waller.
Don't worry about it.
You should have drafted St. Brown. That would have been helpful for you. It
would have been nice if I could take a St. Brown. So I shared with you that I wanted him, and you son of a bitch went out and traded for him. So we're not going to get into like top 10s for the week and things like that, just because, look, who your top. If you draft a guy who's a top 10 kind of player, you're starting him. But if you have specific lineup questions, read somebody in the X at That Happens or at Chad Ochorinco for him if you have specific lineup questions. But so it's because I'm not gonna sit here. I don't want to read like our top 10 lists because I think that's. But are there any players you're looking at that you probably like? You think maybe more than other people or other like of the people who rank the fantasy players? There are a couple people that you look at and say, I think this guy's a sneaky play this week.
Yeah, I really like Geno this week. I like the entire Seahawks passing game this week. They're in a good matchup against the Rams. They're at home. And, I think, with Walker and Charbonnet kind of been banged up. I know Walker's good to go this week. I just think they can pick apart that Rams secondary. Ramsey's not there. So I really like that. JSN's back. So I really think Geno's a quarterback that I'm really looking at. And I like the receivers as well. So he's one. It's kind of weird. Like this is my one stand this week. And if we get to the DFS at the end, I think Baker Mayfield will be a top 10 QB this week. The Vikings defense is horrible. I think Mike Evans, whether he gets his contract or not, which I don't know.
Right.
I think today's the deadline. He's going to either be like, he's going to get paid and he's going to show why he's going to get paid, or he's not going to get paid and he's going to show why he should have been paid. Godwin's there, right? I just think Baker have a good game this week. I think that game's going to shoot out. So I think he's a sneaky one. Now, obviously, if you have him, if you're like, I have him or Justin Herbert, obviously start Justin Herbert. But if you waited on quarterbacks and it's like Baker and, like Rodgers, I like Rodgers too, but if you're thinking that or DFS, Baker could be a sneaky one. So those are two quarterbacks that I kind of like this week.
One of the guys who I really don't like that much, and could be going into a top 10 situation, and a lot of people is Deshaun Watson. I think Watson's probably for me closer to the 12 to 15 range. So I'm not a big fan of Watson this week. I think that in part because he hasn't shown many since he came back. The 6 games last year were really not good for him, and those only games he played in a while. We'll see what they look like against the Bengals. That should be a fun game to watch. But I'm not that high on Deshaun Watson. Is there a running back somewhere that you might like or dislike more than most of the other people doing the rankings?
I think for this week only, I kind of like Brian Robinson.
Right.
The Cardinals team is so bad. Like, they are just horrible. So I think Brian Robinson can get all of the run he can. Gibson even too, but I think Robinson, they'll just try to get him as many carries as he can. So I can see him maybe plunging in a couple short touchdowns. So I like him just because of the matchup. Again, I've been all on Bijan. I was on Bijan our last podcast. I really think they are going to use him because it's a home opener and Carolina's bad. So Bijan, I don't know where the other people, I haven't really looked at where other people ranked him, but I have him as my number one running back this week. And then just Aaron Jones. I think the Packers are going to be able to do whatever they want against that Bears defense.
Baltimore playing Houston this week, and Dobbins appears to be in decent shape health-wise, and I think they're going to really let him. They're going to test him out quite a bit and see what he can do. I think he'll get extended carries there. I look for like a 20 to 25 touch game for J.K. Dobbins, so I think he's somebody who's going to be a top 10 back probably this week. I think that Houston defense will be good. I think Baltimore will be ahead though, and they're going to take the air out of the ball. I know they talk about Baltimore trying to open things up quite a bit in the offense and changing things and making sure that using more passing with Lamar and some of those things. That's fine, that may happen, but once they get out to a lead, which I expect them to, I think they'll probably sit there and pound on the Dobbins part for a while and lean on him also.
I agree, and I think they may be early on, like play action, get some deep plays, but it's going to be Dobbins, and then I do think you're right. I think they're going to kind of see, hey, let's see what kind of workload we can have with him, because they really know what Gus Edwards is, so they don't really need to see that. They really want to see, hey, is Dobbins like the kind of guy that can just be explosive? And I think he can. So I'm with you on that with Baltimore. I think they're just going to roll Houston.
Well, and also the fact that, look, Dobbins, they're not invested in long term. It's one of those things where they could run him into the ground this year and say, you know what, I think we're ready to move on, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
The brutal side of the football business, though, that could very well be the case where if someone's going to get run into the ground this year for the Ravens, it's going to be J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
All right, wide receiver wise, is there somebody you're excited about seeing that you think will overperform or someone's going to underperform?
I'm really excited to see, and I have a little bit of stock in him, but just to see what Calvin Ridley is going to do, because I was really high on him. I love that offense. So I'm just kind of interested to see what he's going to do. I think he will have a good game because they're playing the Colts. I really think Devonta Smith can have a pretty big game this week because I think the Patriots will try to neutralize A.J. Brown. Right. Devonta Smith could be a number one on most of the teams, so I think he could be a big one. And two kind of the little nappers, if you want. My love, like for Marvin Mims. I don't know what Judy's status is. I think he may be out. So I like Marvin Mims against the Raiders. And another guy where, like, again, it's just going to be if you have him and you need to play him, I wouldn't go out and get him yet. But I think Michael Wilson for the Cardinals, the rookie for the Cardinals, because Hollywood is banged up. I'm not sure if he's going to play. I think they're going to be down. So I think he can get a lot of that cheap late game receptions, yardage, because they're going to be down so much. I think, and he's going to be probably their number 2, and I really like him. So he's one where keep an eye on to see how they use him and maybe be a waiver wire. But those are 2 sneaky ones. I think Mims can have a big game because I don't think the Raiders are very good.
There's 3 receivers I have highlighted. One of them is Van Jefferson for the Rams, and now it looks like Cooper Kupp could very well go on the IR with this situation. And Van Jefferson becomes very valuable at that point, I think. And so I would jump on him before the game. I think he could have a decent game for the Rams as far as just target-wise goes. I'm not saying he's going to be a great, a 6 for 130 and 2 touchdown game, but he's going to get enough volume, enough targets, I think, where it warrants grabbing him. So Van Jefferson is someone I'm going to grab and watch him close. I'm also watching very closely Brandon Cooks in Dallas, see what he does there as the number 2. And also Deontay Johnson in Pittsburgh, because they, famously last year, all those targets, all those catches, Deontay Johnson had no touchdowns. And that's not something that's going to repeat. This year, he's going to get in the end zone. He's somebody I got stock in as well. But Deontay Johnson, I think this week could be a top 15 receiver going against San Francisco. But I'm intrigued by Cooks, and I'm very intrigued to see what Van Jefferson does, and I would pick him up in other leagues if you could. Now, the tight end situation, we've already sat here and we've cried about my situation with no Kelsey and the fact that Waller might not play. So is there a tight end out there that you're like, you know what, jump on this guy? Obviously, the Porter's already played, so we can't really count him into this. Is there somebody else on that tight end list that we haven't mentioned that you think could end up popping this week, or could be somebody you want to pick up and look at, for the whole season?
Yeah, I mean, I already talked about Luke Musgrave, so I think he's a good one to get. A guy that I really like is Gerald Everett, because I think he's kind of getting lost in that offense. And that offense if the Chargers have is going to be so good. They're going to score so many points. And again, with Williams and Allen with their injuries, and you got Quentin Johnson's a rookie, I think Herbert will rely on Everett, and he's proven he's been a solid tight end. So I really like him just in that offense. I hate talking about rookie tight ends because they never really do much, but Jake Ferguson in Dallas could have some pretty solid games because they like to use that. And then the other guy, like Dalton Schultz, former Cowboy, I think Stroud may be able to rely on him a lot in these games because, again, they'll be down. So, those are some guys I really like. But I really like Gerald Everett season long, just because that offense, I think, is going to just score some points. So he could get 8 touchdowns this year.
I can see Njoku being a top 5 tight end this week in Cleveland. I think that Watson's going to look to him quite a bit, especially down there in the red zone when teams are stacking the box against Nick Chubb. I think you can see Njoku could open there. I'm with you on Schultz. I like him quite a bit as well. One of the guys who's getting a lot of love, but Juwan Johnson in New Orleans is their tight end, and it's just I don't. As long as you've got other, you get other options there at tight end in New Orleans, and I'm not really sure there's one you can count on there for New Orleans. So I'm not really big on Juwan Johnson. So, all right, let's go. First of all, I never even checked. I didn't bet it. How did your DFS go on Thursday?
Oh, it was horrible because I had Sky Moore in the captain spot. So he got me, I think, because he get double points. I think he got me 0.8.
Yeah, great. Right, exactly.
So the rest of it wasn't bad. I missed out on
the most important.
I had Goff, Mahomes,
right.
St. Brown and Montgomery.
Yeah.
So it just that I missed out on that. So that one, it just didn't work out. And that happens when you take a chance on a guy like that to hit.
Sure. So you got something else for us then?
Yeah. So I got a lineup. I had a free, $5 in the Millie Maker. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance and be super contrarian on this. So I'm targeting as my main stack the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because Mayfield, Godwin, and Rachaad White.
Okay.
Because I feel like a lot of times in stacks I don't like to stack a running back, but I think Rachaad White could be a good one. Right. So those are my 3 main stacks. I'm running it back with Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
So that's my main stack. And then I just have a few one-offs. Sometimes you want to do a mini stack. I just was like, I'm just going to try to be totally different. I have too many rookies probably. So I've got Baker. My 2 running backs are Rachaad White, and I got Bijan. My receiving group is Godwin, Tyreek, Justin Jefferson. So I went kind of heavy there. Tight end is my boy Luke Musgrave.
Right.
And then my flex is my other boy Marvin Mims.
Okay.
And then I took Washington's defense against the Cardinals. The only problem, it used all the salary, but I'm not too concerned about that because of the weirdness of this lineup. I don't think a ton of people are going to be on Marvin Mims. I don't think a ton of people are going to be on Baker. So
the Tampa stack, the Tampa stack.
Yeah, the Tampa stack. Like, I think people are going to stack that Chargers Dolphins game, which is good. But if you have a lot of people, like I said, I think the guy that won the showdown, there were 12 people that tied for it. So I mean, he still got $100,000. You split $100,000, which I would have taken.
You'll take that.
I would take that, yeah. But like, I just like, you know what? This one's already got like 658,000 people in it. Okay. So I thought it's a free $5. Let's just take a chance and see. That Viking defense is bad. So, and then, not many teams are going to have Hill, Jefferson as well. So I think it's good. And I just hope the Redskins can just like have a couple pick six against Joshua Dobbs.
You're right. Yeah. All right. So if you win it though, you're still going to do the podcast next week. So
I will be on the podcast to gloat. Next
You'll have
week.
A gold chain.
I'll have chain on.
Right. Yes, we're ready to go.
Exactly.
So, Chad, your business weekend, you've got all kinds with the wedding and everything going on. I'll be busy as well. But if either one's season, though, we'll try to pop on to a quick YouTube short on something. And maybe on Sunday, I might put a little something out there just with injury updates. We'll see.
Right.
In the meantime, pray for Darren Waller. But we will. It's the first week, man. It's time. I'm excited, bud.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yes.
Let's get rolling. Let's follow him again on the X at Chad Ochorinco. I am at That Happens. And this has been Fantasy Football Now on FanStream Sports. I'm sorry, I got to get the read now. All the stuff I got to talk about. FanStreamSports.com is where you can go for the website. And then the FanStream Sports app available for Apple and Android for round-the-clock programming on the go. FanStream Sports Facebook group, the United with hosts and other fans as well. But go check all that out. Listen, like, follow, subscribe, share, all those wonderful things. Chad, enjoy the wedding. Let's both get wins this week, buddy.
That would be great. Talk to you later.
See you.